Hello everyone, Alec DeLorean here, and I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Now today we have the J-3DI for or against video, where we go through all of his pros, all of his cons. We have then our final thoughts to decide whether he's a meta or not, and then the last thing we like to go through is if he is viable at level 1 or if you need to level him up to 25 for him to be viable, at least in ranked. But before we get into it, if you would like to join the Patreon or Discord, the links are in the description below. And if you enjoyed this video, this content and all things Star Wars related, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the video. Okay, so J3 for or against. So the first one is pros, and we will start off with 4-pole can cancel lots of ultimates. So a lot of times the most satisfying thing with J3, at least for me, is when an enemy pops their ultimate and I instantly grab them and take them out of their ultimate to waste it. That is such a great feeling, and it's one of the best things about J3, and I don't think it works on all ultimates. I haven't tested to see which ones it definitely works on. I think it does work on Slingshot in my head. I have a vision of me grabbing him at one time, but yeah, if you can get Slingshot out of his ultimate, then that's just fantastic. I don't think it would work for Chaos or not, but it's just a lot of testing, and let me know if you know which ones it does or doesn't work with. So the next one is Deflective Stance has lots of stamina. So J3 is really good at being a defensive damage, if you get what I mean. So he's on the borderline of being a damage slash a tank in the game, in my opinion. Like he's he's got a good survivability, but not the highest output, which is kind of like a tank, but it does a decent amount of damage for him to be considered a damage hunter, if you get what I mean. And one of the things is that he has a lot of stamina when he blocks with his lightsaber. Unlike Reeve, who you block with her, she deflects like 4 or 5 shots and then that's it, gone. J3 can last much longer, so it helps with being contesting zones on power control or dynamic control. He's really good at just staying on a point and surviving. Then next, a high level J3 can self-heal kind of well. I won't say effectively, but kind of well. So when you get to J3 to level 25, I think the very last level 25, is where your healing goes up from each spare part that he drops. And it's really annoying when you're playing against a J3 and you've got him to one shot. All right, I need to get rid of his stamina on his lightsaber, and then he randomly just walks over to his spare parts and heals up to half health, and you're like, right, well that's me screwed because I'm also one shot. So that's pretty decent for J3. It's very fun kit. I'll give him that. His ultimate has very high DPS. So his ultimate was already pretty decent in like season 1 and 2. I think it was season 3 where he got his ultimate buff, where it does 1 extra damage per hit, and so he does even more damage now than normal. So yeah, his ultimate can be devastating. He's still the same health. He doesn't get any extra health or anything, but if you go in with your ultimate and all the enemies are grouped together, you're most likely going to walk away with a 3 or even a 4k at that point. Depends on how far away people can get. And then another good thing about J3 is his lore and personality. He's really funny. He's really fun. I don't know if you know this already, but Sprocket, the other hunter in the game, is the one who built J3 to be who he is today, and J3 literally thinks that he's a Jedi even though he's just a droid, and that is awesome. I love that so much. So he's got really good story behind him, and I would love to read some comics or even a book about him, because the other book is about Reeve, so the next book being J3 would be awesome. I would definitely read that. But on the other hand, all pros come with cons, and he's looking the wrong direction. So the first one is he's very slow and has no mobility. So he's got a lot of survivability with his passive and abilities, and he also has a high damage. But if you're running around the map, you're just not going to keep up with a lot of people, most hunters at this pace. So if it's dynamic control and if you forget to go to the next zone, it's going to take you an age to get to the next zone, and that makes him a bit sluggish to play. Like, I'm not really a fan of the slow moving hunters. Like, I love playing as Aaron Tall and just speeding around the map. So playing J3, that makes him fall off a bit for me. And then the next one is he has lost an ability that was in soft launch. So I joined the game during launch in season 1, but the game was in soft launch for 2 years before that. And at some point he had an extra ability. I think it was, apparently it was like a ground slam where it damages enemies in an AoE. I don't know if it's stunned or not though. I think people might have to fact check me on that, but he had an extra ability. I definitely know that. And they took it away. I don't know why. It seems really cool and really useful for J3 because I would love to see that brought back at least, or if they don't want to bring it back, at least rework it. I would love to see it. And that's all I'll say. That's all I'll say about that. And then the next one is generally loses on paper versus most hunters. Now, I say this, but he can win a lot of fights versus a lot of hunters. But on average, I feel like when I play versus J3, I don't have that confidence as much as I do in other hunters in 1 versus 1s. So he can get outplayed a lot of the times or just absolutely melted. Like Sentinel can get rid of his stamina really fast because I think his full clip would melt all of his stamina. It's just that you'd lose your shield most likely at that point. But once you get rid of J3's shield and he doesn't have any healing from his support, he's kind of left in the dark because he's got nothing to do to run away or get close to enemies at that point. And then the last one is a damage hunter, but feels closer to a tank. Like I was saying in the pros, he doesn't feel like a damage hunter. He feels in the middle, like a second tank. Like you have your main tank and then you have your off-spec tank kind of thing. He is the off-spec tank. And he's really good at supporting the main tank, I guess, because if your tank needs to back off, heal, J3 can fill that spot, no doubt about it. But having him as a damage, I feel like, I just feel like he's more of a tank than he is a damage. Like if you wanted to rework his ability or something, make it a tank ability where you can gain an extra shield or something like that. Anything. But it'd be nice to have him as a tank because I feel like that would fit him well as a droid who thinks he's a Jedi, because Jedis are very defensive naturally. And then my final thoughts. So I think he's not a meta hunter. He can get outplayed very easily, even not at high ranks. I see lots of J3s who just don't do well in matches and I come against them and they're very easy to get around. So he just doesn't feel like a meta hunter. He needs some changes, maybe bring back his ability to make him feel full again. Like he does feel a bit empty at times and feels like, right, I need something, and that something might be the ability that we've lost. But yeah, as it stands right now, I would never pick him in ranked. That being said, do you need to level J3 high for them to be viable? The unfortunate answer is yes. So leveling him up, he heals more from his spare parts, and then he also drops more spare parts. So the higher you level him, the more survivability he has, and that's survivability is what gets him going. That's what he is all about. So if you're level 1, you're definitely not going to win a fight versus level 25 because you're probably, if you were to do the same amount of damage and hit each other the same amount of times, you're going to die first because they're healing much more than you are. So yeah, if you have Fame Grant and you're wondering who to use it on J3. He's a safe bet to use it on. And there you go. There are my pros, cons, final thoughts for J3. And yes, ultimately, I am against J3. I love to play him casually. By all means, yeah, he's really fun to play, kind of. Yeah, he's not... I'm against him. I don't know what to say, but he's missing something. I need something extra from J3. I hope they can figure it out and give it to him, but time will tell on that. I won't keep you any longer then. So if you would like to join the Patreon or Discord, the links are in the description below. And if you enjoyed this video, this content, and all things Star Wars related, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.